Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me again on the Automated Coach podcast. Today, I am bringing to you Kat Mitchell. She's a certified leadership coach and certified NLP practitioner who guides women leaders through powerful mindset shifts and emotional breakthroughs with a deeply intuitive yet practical approach. She helps high achieving women release self doubt, imposter patterns, and the hidden stories that keep them playing small. Kat, welcome to the Automated Coach podcast. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you so much.
So tell us a little bit more what you do and who you serve.
What I do is really go deep with my clients and helping them understand where their pain points and challenges are, and really look at where our thoughts and emotions and behaviors actually connect and where the shifts can be made to get to that solution, that outcome, that desired goal that my clients have, because they get into these patterns. We all do. I've done it. We get into these patterns and we don't actually realize what these patterns are until somebody shines that mirror and says, "Did you notice that?" And that's when the ahas usually start to begin to happen of,
Mhm.
"Oh, I didn't realize that." And so it's really shining that mirror in those thoughts, those emotions, those behaviors, and really designing what those next steps are in helping them see what's possible in the future.
So, going from these patterns that exist anyway to actually creating more intentional patterns, it sounds like, and that's what you're helping people to do.
Right. And a lot of it, what some people don't realize, it's talked about a lot more now. A lot of it starts when we're in that 0 to 7 age range. And
Wow.
we don't think about those patterns at 0 to 7 that are still being carried around with us. They're like backpacks that we put on our back, but we've never shed the backpack, or we might have taken a couple things out of the backpack to lighten the load a little bit. But the load is still back there. And until somebody says, "Oh, did you notice that you're carrying around such and such from parent, grandparent, teacher from way back when, an experience that you had way back when?" And they're like, "Oh, now maybe I can get that out of my backpack and then I can be a little freer with that."
Right. Interesting concept. I think it helps people envision this weight that they're carrying that they don't even realize is there.
Absolutely.
Now, how did you get started with all this? How did you get started in your business?
Ooh, I got started. So I was working in corporate. I was doing the corporate thing like most people do. And I was working in tech, and I was leading tech teams in US and in India on these big multi-million dollar products, these big design teams, but they didn't talk to each other as well as I would like them to, because they came from different cultures, different experiences, different ways of living
Right.
and belief systems. And so I had tech organizations are often reorging. So I had a boss for about 30 days in another state. And she says, "I want you to take a coaching class." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have no idea what that means. I'll take a coaching class. And I want you to teach your teams how to talk to each other, because we need them communicating so we can move these products forward." And so I took the first coaching class, and being an introvert, it like, ooh, got me out of my comfort zone. And then I took the second coaching class and I went, "Oh, now I really have some tools to help them." So that's where it all started. And
Okay.
then in 2019, when my brother had a stroke, I was already a caregiver for my mom in dementia. His stroke was over a course of a week.
Wow.
So it impacted 3 areas of his brain, and we had to relanguage. And I'm like, I cannot do all of that. Learning brain science, understanding doctor terminology, study
Yeah.
of the brain, and work 12-hour days and working with these teams. So
Right.
I put in my notice and said, I'm leaving my job. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a retirement. I'm like, I'm going to leave. I'm going to figure it out. I got to work on this and put my focus here. And so that is how my morphing of my coaching business began was, all right, now that I got him to a healthy place and life has made many shifts and changes, I think it's time to start a coaching business and figure out what that looks like. And in the meantime, I study the hypnotherapy, the emotional releases, timeline therapy. So I'm still developing my tools and
Mhm.
adding tools because every one of my clients comes from a different path, a different place, a different space. And they experience things differently and they want to heal in a different way.
Right.
So that's how all that morphing in a very long form conversation happened in my business.
Your own journey is really interesting, but also to just the learning from that, that things might be happening in our life and our business and our job right now that are laying the foundation for something that we don't even know about. So your boss having you take this coaching class laid the foundation for things that you didn't even know were going to happen in the future. So all of us should be open in the moment to these different experiences, even if we don't understand why we need to do it in the moment, because who knows what we're setting ourselves up for.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. There is, it's like if you look at my weird path
Mhm.
of how things happened, it's like I was asked to take this class, and then I was approved to take the second step. And then I left and started studying neuroscience and brain science and neural pathways, which then led me to this other mentorship of, hey, why don't you go deeper into understanding coaching the brain and unconscious and conscious mind thinking and how they're misaligned in most people. And I'm like, whoo. So yeah, every step led to another step.
Right.
And without that first step, I would have never been where I am and still wanting to learn.
Yes, wanting to learn. Now, along this rather crooked journey to where you are right now, what would you say is or was the biggest struggle you had to overcome, and how did you overcome it?
I would say, as far as overcoming it, I think there are still steps I'm taking in overcoming.
Mm.
I was just on another call with somebody. One of the biggest challenges was I was in corporate and I'm in my 60s. So I was in corporate for a very long time. And then stepping into my own business, thinking I saw other people doing it really easily. And it was a sudden realization of, oh, wait, I'm the CEO, the CFO, the CTO, the CIO,
Yes, all the C's, all the O's.
the CPA. It's like, oh, wait, is today tech day or is today connection day or is today so I'm the
Exactly.
marketing director, I'm the sales director. So it was that sudden realization. So have I worked through it all and become perfect at everything? No. Am I still learning and still taking classes that relate to marketing or relate to sales conversations? I just learned another tool called BOSI. I'm like, what is BOSI? It's like I hadn't heard of that one, with DISC and all those other ones.
Right, right. No, I hadn't
And
heard that
it's
one.
really learning how to have sales conversations based on the energy that people bring to you. And I'm
Interesting.
like, oh, that's interesting. And it's realizing because For those that know both, see, I'm an S, a strong S. And so that means I'm very strategic and want to know everything about everything about everything, which is not the opportunist or the creative, which are the easy sales. And like, so it's like, oh, I got to get out of my S brain sometimes.
Right. Oh, that's a good way of thinking about that. I need to look into that one. Okay, let's take it a little bit deeper. What are three things you could share with our listeners?
Three things that I would share is one, I'm also a meditation teacher,
Hmm.
meditation and mindfulness. And one thing that comes up often is people say, I can't meditate. And when you get into that silence, you are able to become more aware of your thoughts. And the one thing that comes up is my thoughts are always going. I'm always thinking. I'm like, I want people to celebrate that. The fact that you're thinking is a
Hmm.
healthy thing. We want you to think. You're human. That's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. And it's really stepping into and allowing yourself to be aware of what those thoughts are telling you. So that's one I will say is allow for the thinking and then be aware of it. Two is really understanding that our internal beliefs, experiences, emotions, all that is what we experience in our external world. So if we are seeing a lot in our external world that we don't want to experience, then it's really checking in internally and figuring out what's going on that maybe we need to make some shifts mentally, physically, to experience a different world externally.
Could you give an example of that? Is it more like external, meaning relationships or clutter or what?
So if you are getting on the road and seeing a lot of road rage,
Mhm.
it doesn't mean that you are experiencing that road rage inside of you. And maybe there's something, some anger inside that maybe needs to come out and be worked through. So you're not seeing it in the external world or in life.
Right.
So our life experiences externally are usually a reflection of what we're experiencing on the inside. And we haven't opened up to allowing ourselves to know what those experiences are until we talk to somebody. And that brings up, we can't see the label from inside the jar. We are living inside of our jar and we're trying to see the label of what's going on, but we're inside the jar. We can't see the label.
That's so deep. That's so deep. I love that idea that we're often blissfully unaware of what that label is, but not knowing that label is also potentially causing us problems in terms of how we interact with the rest of the world and even our own self concept.
Yes. Yes. And a lot of times, what I've seen, because I work with a lot of career women also, is what they experience. This is going to bring up another tip. I can already
Mhm.
see it. Is when people bring their work home or mentally, not actually the paperwork, but mentally bring that
Mhm.
energy home, then it creates that tension. And it's really looking at our energy in all these different spaces. And this is the reason why I'm like, oh, and this is another tip
Mhm.
is that often comes up in some of my coaching calls is what is that mask that people are putting on in those work environments? Because they don't want to be themselves. They're afraid that people won't like them for who they are,
Yes.
or they have this fear that their bosses expect them to be one way and aren't allowed to be seen as who they are. And it's like, take the mask off. We want you, we want you to experience life and who you are. Because when you're trying to wear a mask here or trying to wear another mask over here, and then you're trying to be yourself at home, then you have this combating identity crisis of crap, I don't even know who I am anymore.
Right. And there's that fear, because I've been through that experience many moons ago when I was in academia, of being afraid of being found out, the real you being found out, your real personality, your real sense of humor, your real whatever it is, your real
Yeah,
politics, whatever it might be, rather than just being yourself, and people can choose whether they want to accept or reject, but that their opinions of me have nothing to do with me.
absolutely. Absolutely. And with our world vibrating at an energy level of fear,
Hmm.
how can we lift this energy of individuals so we can raise that vibrational energy and get out of that fear?
Yes. Ooh, that was a good one. Let's switch and talk more about your business as a business. What are some of your strategies for attracting new leads, converting those leads into clients, and supporting your clients once you have them?
That is a great question. And it's a continuous learning process.
Hmm.
I will say the number one thing, it's really tapping into that visibility, which as an introvert has been something I have worked through, or that's something that I will continue to work through.
Okay.
And really putting myself out there and my real self. We talk about masks,
Right.
and it's really hard. It's really had me going through my own personal growth of it's okay if my hair changes color because I'm getting older. It's okay if I'm in my 60s because most of my clients are that 45 to 65, and that's who they trust and that's who they're comfortable with.
Right.
Yeah. It was me getting out of my own way
Hmm.
and being okay with who I am to be able to allow for that trust and connection to be there. So it has been a continuous learning journey, and it's really being in. This brings up when I say that internal and external, often people, and I did this, I don't do it as much because luckily I've been doing the work. Often people feel like others are judging them, and
Right.
mostly because they're judging themselves. It's not that they're being judged, but they're judging themselves,
Sure.
thinking that others are judging them. And so that's part of that visibility. It's like it's really hard to be visible and open and vulnerable to allow for that connection and safety to bring in clients until we get over that self judgment.
Yes. I think that we get so caught up in that piece, that self judgment, that we forget that everybody's doing that. So, the same way I'm overly concerned about what that person thinks about me, they're not thinking about me because they're too busy thinking about what this other person thinks about them. I just recently had an experience where I bumped into this woman who we had worked together years ago, and we kind of clashed back then and didn't get along. And I was not looking forward to the fact that I was going to see her again. And then when I saw her, she had no idea who I was. I was like, why am I carrying this emotion about this? She totally forgot we'd even worked together. Why was she taking up so much mental space for me? And I'm sure there's something that I did in passing that I've totally forgotten that somebody else right now is somewhere stewing about, and it's not even on my radar. And that's just human nature, unfortunately.
Yeah, we allow for those tenants in our mind that aren't even paying rent. They're just taking up space.
Yes,
And if we actually had a rental, would we allow those same tenants to take up
exactly.
space in that rental?
Not without paying some rent.
Right.
Do you use automation in your business? And if so, what types of automation do you use?
So automation, yes. Go High Level is currently an automation tool I'm learning
Okay.
and getting help with, luckily, because I want to keep whatever hair I have left. And I have learned that help with automation is a powerful, powerful tool, because even though I was in tech, I loved testing stuff and breaking stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which does not work in business because you don't want to break it. So my skill set and business tech, not the same thing.
Right, right, right. And that's actually part of the reason that I started my business, because I love all the automation stuff and I used to primarily be a coach. And so I know the types of automations that coaches need. And I know so many coaches do not want to build all that stuff out themselves. And that's another reason I started this podcast, was so coaches could share a little bit about the things that they are automating, whether they're doing it or they've hired somebody to do it. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And with that said, I am certain as a coach, there is still automation tools that I don't know about. And
Mm-hmm.
there's still automation that I don't even know exists or don't even know would be beneficial. It's that I don't know what I don't know. Because again, coming from corporate, there is so much to business that I didn't know until I went, oh yeah, I got to do that and that and that and that and that and that. And strategically plan for it. And I'm still learning what I don't know.
Right.
So it's powerful that we have people like you going, oh, have this. Do you know what this can do?
Right. That's what I'm here for. Exactly. So, as we start wrapping up, our listeners here at the Automated Coach podcast are action takers. So, what is one action you would encourage our listeners to take?
I will say everybody should really look and feel their heart and really understand that there is a true connection with our mind, our body, our emotions, and our spirit. And until we embody that, we will never be able to truly move forward in the direction that we want to move forward in. And we all have emotional needs that may not be getting met until we find somebody that can help us understand what those are and how we can meet them so we can be who we are meant to be and shine our light.
Beautiful. Thank you. Besides all the wonderful words of wisdom you shared right here, I know that our listeners are going to want to follow up with you and stay in touch with you. So, where can our listeners find you online?
I am on Facebook and LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
Kat Mitchell on LinkedIn and Coach Kat Mitchell on Facebook. I'm also at pathtodiscovery.com. And I have free workshops out there every month that I offer
That they can find on that site?
that they can find on that site.
Okay, perfect. And for those of you listening, we will also put that in the show notes so that you have that there as well. Wow, Coach Kat, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on the Automated Coach podcast. This was a wonderful episode, and I'm excited to drop this episode so people get a chance to hear these wonderful words of wisdom that you shared with us today. Thank you.